Hello, one and all, and welcome to a mathematical variation of the Brewing Labs. Now, for this episode, like with all Quandrix mages, we are going to do a little bit of addition, a little bit of subtraction, but most importantly, some multiplication. Now, basically, this is a blue-green Stompy deck. Mostly we're running stuff as early game, specifically Dragon Guard Elite, as well as Quandrix Apprentice. Mostly just to help us essentially scale a little bit and help us to ramp, because one combo that I have in here as a card that is kind of an underrated card from the Zendikar Rising, Scale the Heights. Pretty much put a +1/+1 counter on up to one target creature, you gain 2 life, and then you may play an additional land this turn, as well as draw a card. Well, if you have Quandrix Apprentice on the battlefield, what you can essentially do is the Magecraft will trigger, which then allows you to get a land from, hopefully, from your library, which then gives you an additional land to play with Scale the Heights. In theory, that's kind of the main reason why I threw that combo in there. We also have a variety of other spells. We have Dragon's Guard Elite, just a very powerful 2-drop, essentially. The minute you just cast spells, it gets bigger, bigger, bigger. It's a threat that can be played early and then become a late game threat earlier. Specifically with spells like Decisive Denial. Very powerful Simic spell, just it was a card that was on my top 10 list for the Strixhaven School of Mages, and for a pretty good reason. A versatile spell that allows you to fight a creature that might be annoying, as well as being able to counter any annoying non-target, non-artifact spells. Very powerful for the deck. We're also running a few Snakeskin Veils just to help us protect our creatures, since our creatures are kind of value engines, essentially. And being able to put a counter on them is very nice. We also have Primal Might in here as just another fight spell that can scale up. As a free drop spot, as we mentioned before, we had Scale the Heights, but we also have Augment to Pugilist as well as Echoing Equation. Majority of the time, we're probably just playing the Augment to Pugilist, but it is nice to have the option of Echoing Equation. Like, let's say we have a bunch of small drops, and then they can inevitably become one of our late game drops. That can actually be very nice, especially since those copies are going to be non-legendary, which then essentially will be very nice, especially with some of our legendary creatures that are later down the line. We also running 2 Quandrix commands. Honestly, I kind of am tempted to just go to 2 Snakeskin Veil and free Quandrix command. But this is just a very powerful spell. You don't want to go overboard with it, but it's very powerful, as I would say, as a 2 or 3 of, essentially. Being able to return a target creature or planeswalker to his owner's hand, good tempo. Being able to put counters on your creatures, that's good. And then just being able to shuffle your pretty much any card you need to from your graveyard back into your library. That gives you inevitably more value, which is nice. And being able to counter target artifact or enchantment spell, very relevant, especially since we are seeing some powerful artifacts as well as sagas still in the mana. And there is the old situation where you can counter some enchantment creatures in the format with this, which is nice. Now, as a 4-drop, we have a few cards. We have Orvar the All Form. Very powerful 4-drop. As you can kind of notice, a majority of the spells we have in our deck are targeting spells. This is very powerful with Orvar because when we target our creatures, we're going to make more copies of our creatures. And some of them do have very powerful ETB effects. Speaking of which, Nerd Professor, 4-mana 5/4 trample, perfectly fine stats alone. But the ability that when it enters the battlefield, it learns. Very nice, especially with our sideboard. Since it's the best of 1, we have a 7-card sideboard. We'll get to sideboard in a minute, but this being pretty much a 5/4, draw a card from our sideboard. Very nice. We're also running 2 Quandrix Cultivator as kind of like our secondary ramp in the deck. Just when it enters the battlefield, getting a untapped basic forest or island. Very nice, especially since that will allow us to get mana to help protect or help fight, essentially. Very nice. We're running a 1 of Vivian Monster's Advocate, just a very nice way to essentially get creatures on the battlefield or get more creatures with the Midas effect. Very nice if we have to stall later if we're going against like a control deck, per se. We also are running 1 Vorinclex, which, speaking of which, this is kind of one of the legendary creatures that if we make copies with Echoing Equation, it's really absurd, especially if you have any way to put counters on your creatures, like let's say we did that, all of our creatures are Vorinclexes, and then we do a Snakeskin Veil. The math is absurd. Let's just put it like that. The math is absurd. We're also running 2 Turn Temples. We'll actually get to the land cards in a minute, but we're running 1 Jadzi Oracle of Archiveus. This is an interesting card. I don't think we're going to be casting the Journey to the Oracle side often, but I do want to try this as a 1-of in the deck and just see, because that Magecraft ability is a very, very powerful ability. Being able to essentially, whenever we cast or copy an instant sorcery spell, look at our top card, and if it's a spell, just pay 1 mana to cast it. Very nice. Or if a land, it helps us ramp. And then, of course, we have to play the Great Henge because we're kind of stompy. This is just a great card from Eldraine to help us with stompy decks. It allows us, when we play our non-token creature spells, to essentially draw cards. Gains life. It's just a great card. Like, Eldraine provided a bunch of great cards. Let's just be honest with ourselves with that. As for the land-based, we are running 4 Vine Glimmer Snarls, 4 Temple of Mysteries, 4 of the Bark Channel Pathway, Tide Channel Pathway, 6 forests, 5 islands. Then we're running 2 technically Droyo Runes, as well as Droyo Disruption. Just an early game counterspell, or sometimes can be used late game if somebody tries to cast a on-curve Ugin. As well as we're running 2 Turn Temple Serpentine Wood, or Turn Temple Symbiosis. Mostly just a nice shockland if we do need the mana, but also just late game being able to get a creature card from our library and then put it onto the battlefield. Very nice. Now, as stated before, with the Learn package, we do actually have access to our sideboard, and we're running a few cards in here. We're running 1 Teaching of the Archaics, which I'm kind of starting, due to the fact that I played a Quandrix Stompy deck that was shown off a little earlier this week. I'm actually respecting this card a lot more than I took for granted. Sometimes you're going to empty your hand, and just being able to just draw 2 cards from this, perfectly fine. We're running also 2 Expanded Anatomies, mostly just because it's a targeted spell for our creatures, so if we have like an Orvar on the battlefield, this just pretty much says, make one of your creatures bigger, but also make a copy of it. We're also running 2 Containment Breaches, just a way to destroy annoying target artifacts or enchantments. We also are running Basic Conjuration, just a semi-draw engine / also gain life. And 1 Introduction to Annihilation, just in case if there's a really, really problematic permanent and it needs to go. So, that is the multi-stomp deck. We're going to play a few games with it on the ladder and just see what shenanigans are there to be bound. Shall we? That we shall. Okay, who are we going against first? We're going against a user by the name of Sparky Carolina. Let's see what shenanigans they're at play. Okay, let's take a look at this hand. Pretty decent hand. We could just play this as a tap land, play this, play an on-curve Dragon Scale Elite. It's not great, but I like it. So, I'm guessing some Prismari shenanigans with the fact that we've seen an Izzet book, or just mono red. Okay. Well, it was one or the other. So we're going to play this tapped. Just get a land on curve. We might wait to play the Dragon Scale Elite on turn 2. Yeah, it's pretty much mono red. Them taking our Gnarled Professor. Well, this might not be too bad, because that allows us to get some land. But, yeah, we do got to play the Dragon Scale Elite here. They're probably going to shock it or Bone Crusher Giant it. Probably, but, we do need a blocker. Or Slaying Fire. Okay, I did not saw that one coming. Okay, what are they going to steal? They steal one of our lands, which is not great. Okay. So we got choices here. We could hold up the Quandrix command just to essentially... Let me do the math. Actually, I think I'm going to do that. Main reason why is because they're at the point where they could Embercleave if they want to. Okay, they don't Embercleave, but they do play Annoying Bird. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it now. We're just going to return and target player. So we're going to return this. We're going to target ourselves. Shuffle back in the Dragon Guard Elite. If we can get a land, we could play the Quandrix Cultivator. I mean, it's a land. Not great when you're going against the burn matchup, but hey, it's a land. So we're going to go search for up a forest specifically. Now we can hold up the Snakeskin Veil if they try to remove our creature. Chances are they're probably going to do that. Okay, so they're going to play the Robber, as suspected. Okay, they're just going to go into the deal damage to the face mode. Okay. I think I'm actually going to play the Snakeskin Veil here, believe it or not. Mostly because this makes this a little bit bigger, which is going to make this cheap, which we do need that just for the life gain alone. That way, then, we could just do one with this. Target, well, let's see. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they draw a land, they could just double this. Yeah, we do have to fight the flyer here. We're not going to attack in. We need the blockers, so... One con to best of one, I will say. You sometimes go against cards you don't suspect of going against in best of one. For example, a Guilds of Ravnica card that, technically speaking, is still legal due to the fact that it was printed in a beginner deck. Huh. Well, at least we tried to stick alive as long as we could, so... Yeah, up to the next game. Okay, this one is decent, and we can actually show off the... If this survives, we can actually show off the Scale the Heights combo. I like that. We're going to show this, reveal force, we're not worried. Worst case scenario, if they do remove it, we could just essentially play the Pugilist, so... We're going to play this, hope it doesn't get removed. Hope the opponent just wants to play a creature. Okay, they want to play Pickaxe. That's perfect. We can actually show off this combo. So, you can play Scale the Heights here. Target this, which then allows you to get a land you need. So, in this case, we're going to go get a island. Oh, I'm starting to wish I got a forest now, because that Snakeskin Veil is actually would have been really nice. Well, you live, you learn. Anyway, ooh, Orval is sweet. We're going to keep that on top. We're going to sweeten in for free. See if this sticks around. It probably is not, but we'll find out. Yep, Murderous Rider. That makes sense. In this case, I'm kind of tempted to actually play the Gnarled Professor here. Hold up the Snakeskin Veil if we need to, but we can learn here. I'm going to go... We could play the Containment Breach, because the factor is they do have the Pickaxe, which allows us to get a Pest token. Yeah, I actually like that. Okay, so we're going to do that. Pass the turn to our opponent. Okay, they're just going to play that. That's perfect. That's what we want. So yeah, we're just going to remove this, make ourselves a little pest token, because why not? And then we're going to hold up the Jwari Disruption. And if they like remove it and still have mana up for Jwari Disruption, we can Snakeskin Veil. If we draw one more mana, we could potentially double Major and Orval, which would be kind of sweet. Yeah, that has to be disrupted, though. We cannot let them have a Goldspan Dragon. No, 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 no. That's a big no. Ooh! We get a Turtle Friend. Yeah, we play Turtle Friend. We're going to go get a Forest. We're going to swing in for 2. Boop, boop. Pass the turn to our opponent. Okay, so yeah, I kind of want to do this. So we're going to do this. That's going to allow us to double major. And we can make 2 Orvals. 1 non-legendary and 1 legendary. We're going to scry. We're going to keep that on top. I'm not going to attack in. I'm going to actually allow the opponent here, because if they allow us to survive, we can actually show off something pretty cool. Okay, they played a Dragonkin Berserker. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, watch this. So, what we're going to do is, we're going to play Snakeskin Veil on this. Since we have 2 Orvars on the battlefield, we can actually make 2 Gnarled Professors, which then allows us to learn. So in this case, we're going to actually choose the Expanded Anatomy, since it's the target spell. We're going to do that again, since it's Expanded Anatomy. Then what we're going to do is we're actually going to target this again with this, which then allows us to make more Gnarled Professors. In this case, we're going to go get a... We're about to almost out of cards, so we'll get Teaching Our Kids and the basic Conjuration. And then we have more mana just to play the Expanded Anatomy one more time. Make more Gnarled Professors. Our opponent's like, the value. The value. Okay, we're going to get another Containment Breach. And we'll get this. So we pretty much just filled up our hand and got ourselves a 10-9. While we have an army of 5/4s. Still the 1/1. Yeah, 2 Orvals on the battlefield is a little bit silly. Okay, our opponent has to block. I think they can still survive due to the lifelink, though. But they do have to block with both. Oh, I guess they didn't. Nice. Okay, so yeah, they need a top deck. They need a board wipe. A Blood on the Snow would actually be really good for them at this moment. Don't you have Blood on the Snow? Oh, if they have Blood on the Snow, I would actually have a good chuckle. They do not. Don't concede, opponent. Ah, I wanted to test out the echoing equation. But to be fair, we did actually show something pretty sweet with this deck, so I'm not going to lie, that was pretty sweet. It was a little bit Win-Mori, I'm not going to lie. It was a little bit Win-Mori, but that was actually pretty sweet, just showing off the shenanigans you can do. Anyway. Before we go, there is one tinker I do want to make to the deck, because I just realized I forgot this card. One card I did want to throw in as a 1 or 2 of is a Elder Gargaroth. If I can spell Elder right. There we go. So we can probably go like... How do I do this? I still want to keep a free of those. I still want to keep double major. Yeah, we're going to test 1 and probably just cut down to... Probably 1 less Pugilist. Because our free drops is mostly just tempo, so... Yeah, let's do it like that. And I'm not gonna lie, it's semi-tempted because I want to see if we can make an army of Elder Gargaroths, but I'm not sure we're going to do that in this last game. But still, hey, that's a suggestion for deck tech shenanigans if you want to. Anyway... This is a weird hand, because this is more counter-y, but we'll give it a shot. We can hopefully draw into a creature with the scry, so we're going to do just that. We don't really need a Snakeskin Veil here, so we're going to put that on the bottom. Okay, so we're going to play a forest, hold up the Droid Disruption. Yep, there we go. Bada beep, bada boop. I think I'm going to play Scale to Heights here, don't target the creature, mostly just for ramp purposes. Because if we can get like a 2-drop creature, we could just double major it just so that we can keep up with the tempo of our opponent's board presence. Doesn't really make sense to play these sorcery speeds since we don't have any lands, so we're just going to hold up the Decisive Denial for like any potential spell they decide to cast that is of non-creature variety. We do get a Snarl, which is nice, so we're going to put that tapped. Still hold up the counter magic and pass the turn to our opponent. If we get one more untapped land source, we could play the Vorinclex, which is nice. It looks like our opponent's in the buff 1 creature plan, it seems to be the case. Well, we did get that land we needed. It is going to hurt, but we do get a Vorinclex. Swing in for sits. Boo! Ooh, they're like a Celestia deck? Are they like Celestia changelings or Bant changelings? Wow. I did not expect someone to play that card in Standard, but hey, sometimes you get surprised. Okay, here I'm actually tempted to do the double major, I'm not going to lie, because 2 Dragonscar Elites is pretty sweet. We're going to have to hold on the fight still because, well, they don't exactly work in this circumstances. Due to the fact our opponent buffed up this changeling pretty significantly, we need to hold up to a Primal Might to deal with it. And we can't because they have a puppy. They have a second pup. Okay, is that the reason why they put the Exile spell in? Because I will give credit where credit due. That is this like a dog deck? Is this a Celestia dog deck? Oh no, opponent! Like, I wanted to see how this deck went. Aww. You kind of have to love when you see little, like, gimmick decks like that. Like, Celestia Dogs, that's actually really cute. It could also have been Naya Dogs with, like, the Cat Dog card, so. Due to that being short, we do actually have enough time for one more match, so let's see in what shenanigans our opponent's going to bring. We're going against Conchable. I did not know how to pronounce that username, so I apologize in advance. This hand, perfectly fine. I still wish we had a creature, but we have a Scale of Heights, we have a 4-drop, we have the lands for the 4-drop, and we have a Decisive Denial to deal with, like, early game non-creature plays. So, it's fine. Not amazing, but fine. Okay, yeah, our opponent's going to be doing some ramping, so it's better that we hold up on the Decisive Denial. And hope that it's not a creature they're trying to ramp into. It's a creature that they were trying to ramp into. Oh boy, this is Stompy. You would have been good a turn ago. Okay, so. This is hard. A part of me wants to hold up the Jurari Disruption just in case if they try to play another Stompy creature like an Elder Gargaroth or something. There is also an argument to try to play the Scale of Heights here, but I do think the Jurari Disruption is the better play here. I think. Because, there we go. So yeah, that was technically the better-ish play. We are still going to have to deal with this question piece, which is going to be a little bit problematic. Well, on the bright side, we can play the turtle here, just ramp a little bit more, that's going to help us out. If it doesn't get removed, we could just Great Hinge to just gain a little bit of life. But it does get removed, so we're probably dead. Yeah, even if we gain the second life here. Yeah, good game, opponent. Oy. That was a little bit of a oof there. Wow, we actually got some pretty short gains. Like, we actually have enough time for one more, actually. But to be fair, they had a good curve. Questing Beast, yet again. Another card I would actually consider for this deck, I'm not going to lie. So that's something to put on the consideration when we go to the wrap-up. But for now, though, let's try to get one more match in since, well, we just went through two really, really quick matches, essentially. Okay, our next opponent is Foxy. Okay. I wonder if it's the streamer. I don't know, but let's see. So, let's see here. We got actually a pretty good hand. We got Decisive Denial, Dragon Scale Elite, Quandrix Apprentice. This is a really good hand. This is... Chances are we're going against Mono Red, though, from the looks of it. Oh no, Boros. Boros Dragons? It seems to be the case. Yeah, we played Dragon Scale Elite here. Hope it doesn't get removed, then we can fight off the Magda. Oof. Okay, we're going to go with the play the Quandrix Apprentice, play the land, and hope it doesn't get removed. Though having a second Dragon Scale on top is nice. This is where we really hope they don't have that one creature. Oh, Hoffrey! Okay, this is going to be cool. Okay, we're not going to attack in. This is cool. This is really, really cool. Okay. So I think the play here is if we do a Snakeskin Veil, that would put this up to 3. That's not enough. So I think the play here is actually just to play this. Hold up the Snakeskin Veil and see what their game plan is. They're going to try to remove something, so it's better that we Snakeskin Veil whatever they try to remove here. We can take the 7 for now. Okay, it's like a Dwarf Tribal list. Okay, so we're going to go get a land. Forest is nice. And here, honestly, I think the better play is just to play this. Play this. And we gotta remember with Hoffrey, so I think it's better just to let go of the Dragon Scale Elite and just essentially make sure we can remove the Hoffrey here. We get a Snarl. And we get a Forest. There we go. I think we can block this and just let Mag be through and just hope they don't have an Embercleave. Wait, I thought I blocked. I must have misclicked. Whoops. That's an oopsies. That might have been the cost of the game, oopsies. Uh-oh. Okay. Lucky enough. Yeah. Don't you have to admit, this is kind of a sweet travel list. I'm not going to lie. This is a really sweet travel list. No protection spell. No protection spell. No protection spell. Ah! We just got Frostbite. Okay, this is actually a really sweet list. You gotta love the first week of the meta when you see really silly decks like this. Oh, come on! That's funny. I do have to admit, I did not expect Dwarf Travel with Lower Hold Shenanigans. That's funny. Okay, that was pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. That was really, really sweet. You gotta love when you, as much as sometimes it's not fun to lose, when you lose to some good quality jank, I can only smile, because that was some good quality jank. Anyway, that is the multi-stomp list. As stated before, I did decide to try to test one Elder Gargroth in the list. But if there's other cards to consider for the list, there is obviously like the staple ramp cards, like stuff like Cultivate. You could definitely consider playing Cultivate within your list. There is also the Questing Beast, as we mentioned earlier. This is also a nice stompy card. But like I said, I was testing the Gnarl Professor with the draw package, so our 4 drops was a little bit competitive at that moment. But it's definitely something to consider if you don't have like the learn-based package. There is also, like stated before, you maybe can go with a few more Elder Gargaroths, because this is just a very powerful stompy card in general. Besides that, the only thing else I would recommend is, it depends on how you want to go with this. If you want to go like with more of a tempo, definitely consider more of the early game counter magic, like stuff like Essence Scatter, for example, is one I could think of at the top of my list, but there's just other ones, like maybe you want to do Negate, because to help counter against some of the more late game stuff. As for other good creatures for the list, you could definitely go, and since I did have a bit of a counter-based theme, a slight one, you could definitely try stuff like the Quandrix Pledge Mage, but also just like Tanazir or Quandrix, because being able to essentially double counters on one permanent can be very nice. And if you have like a wide board, this is more, I think, a good card for like a go wide strategy, because being able to make all your like 1/1s into 4/4s, very powerful. And that is the multi-stomp deck with a few fun recommendations. Nevertheless, it was fun to do a little bit of addition. But now, for next week's Brewing Lab, we're going to work on a little bit of what one could say, a little bit of writing. Nevertheless, I hope you all have a lovely day. This is LevDev, signing out. Bada beep.